If you've ever watched a Hollywood action blockbuster, chances are Jujutsu has made an appearance, especially thanks to movies like The Matrix and the John Wick series. Yet despite its growing visibility in modern pop culture, few realize that this martial art traces its origins back more than a millennium. Born among Japan's warrior elite in the 8th century, Jujutsu has undergone countless transformations. What began as a brutal battlefield necessity has evolved into a refined martial discipline and the ancestor of many popular modern fighting styles. This is the story of how Jujutsu developed, adapted, and survived through Japan's changing eras. Jujutsu is a collective term for a wide range of Japanese martial arts centered on close quarter. Largely unarmed combat practitioners use throws, holds, locks, and targeted attacks to control or incapacitate an opponent. The philosophy of Jujutsu is embedded in its name. Ju translates to gentle, flexible, or yielding. Jutsu means art or technique. Together, the term becomes the art of yielding, emphasizing the practice of redirecting an attacker's energy, rather than overpowering them with sheer strength. Despite the many branches that have emerged over time, this principle remains the core of all Jujutsu training. The earliest known use of the term Jujutsu dates to the Nara period, 710 to 794 AD. The martial systems of this era blended techniques from primitive sumo and other early Japanese fighting methods into what we now consider the earliest form of Jujutsu. Its initial purpose was tactical and deadly. Jujutsu was designed as a direct response to the samurai, elite warriors protected by layers of armor. Traditional strikes were ineffective against such protection, so Jujutsu emphasized grappling techniques that could defeat an armed opponent at close range. Joint locks, pins, and throws allowed practitioners to neutralize a samurai by turning his own momentum against him. But no matter how skilled a fighter was, facing a swordsman empty-handed came with obvious disadvantages. To compensate, some of the oldest Jujutsu schools, such as Shinden Fudo-ryu, 1130, Tenshin Shoden, Katori Shinto-ryu, 1447, and Takenouchi-ryu, 1532, incorporated the use of small weapons. Students learned how to defend against spears and swords using short blades, often using a dagger to parry and counterattack. A major shift occurred in the early 17th century, during the Edo period. The Tokugawa shogunate, influenced by Neo-Confucian ideals, imposed strict peacekeeping laws that drastically reduced warfare. Armor and weapons became ceremonial items, and martial arts moved away from battlefield survival. This peaceful era forced Jujutsu to adapt. Schools began to teach methods suited for unarmored combat, including targeted strikes to vulnerable areas such as the eyes, throat, and neck. However, these striking techniques did not remain dominant. By the early 18th century, most Jujutsu schools either abandoned or minimized them, recognizing that strikes consumed too much energy and were less reliable. The remaining strikes were used primarily to break balance and create openings for grappling, not for causing direct injury. With warriors now having fewer military duties, martial arts shifted toward recreation and competition. Rival schools frequently tested their skills against each other, which led to the development of randori, a form of controlled free sparring that allowed matches without violating the shogunate's rigid rules. Over the following centuries, Jujutsu branched into countless specialized styles. Some systems focused on urban self-defense rather than battlefield tactics. Edo Jiu-Jitsu, 1603 to 1867, emerged as one such adaptation. It centered on techniques suited for unarmored opponents in city settings and incorporated limited instruction in small blade defense. Another notable development was Hojo Waza, a series of techniques using a cord, Hojo, to restrain or choke an opponent. Although the practice faded over time, its legacy remains. Tokyo police officers still carry a modernized Hojo cord for detaining suspects. To distinguish the old traditions from newer interpretations, historians now classify Koryu Jujutsu, schools founded before 1868, Gendai Jujutsu, modern schools created after 1868. Modern forms gradually moved away from battlefield techniques, reducing the use of traditional weapons and complex standing joint locks. Still, Jujutsu never disappeared from military training. In fact, since the early 1900s, most armed forces worldwide have incorporated Jujutsu-based techniques into their hand-to-hand combat programs. Many police academies also draw heavily from its principles. The 20th and 21st centuries brought yet another evolution. The rise of sport-based martial arts derived from classical Jujutsu. Many popular modern disciplines owe their existence to it, including Judo, Aikido, Sambo, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or BJJ. Each of these takes core concepts from traditional Jujutsu and reshapes them to fit competitive or philosophical goals. Today, hundreds of Jujutsu schools and styles thrive around the world. From military training to self-defense programs to international sports competitions, Jujutsu continues to reinvent itself while preserving the principles that shaped it centuries ago. As its presence grows in entertainment, sports, and global martial arts culture, remembering the origins of Jujutsu helps honor the traditions from which this versatile discipline emerged.